Welcome to the Unlocked podcast, hosted by me, Julia Myron.
Hi, everyone. My name is Julia Myron, and I am very happy to be talking to you today. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is another episode of Unlocked podcast, and today we're going to be talking about the xenophobia in South Africa. And yes, I'm going to use that word. I know it's currently being maxed as anti-immigration sentiment, and we're also going to talk about that. But this is a podcast where we expose injustices. We talk about injustices that are happening wherever they may be in the world. It doesn't have to be just in Africa. It doesn't have to be in Western world. Wherever it'll be, we're going to talk about it. And I also occasionally invite experts to talk about injustices or create more awareness or give us more insights, especially when those topics goes beyond my own expertise. We also try to aim to give voice to victims on this podcast or survivors of injustices, and you'll be seeing more of that in the forthcoming months as I aim to be more consistent in my episodes that I put out. So thank you so much for joining today. I am not at home. I am somewhere else. I'm visiting another country. So if you hear noise in the background, please ignore it. This is not my usual setup, as some of you can see. But I felt that this was an important enough topic for me to come in and put on the put on my microphone and my camera after many months, because I believe that we should be talking about this and we should be creating awareness about this. Because in the past few days, as I've been scrolling through social media, I have come across many deeply concerning images and videos that I feel we need to talk about, because the situation in South Africa has gotten out of hand. Now, a lot of people, I know I'm not the first person to speak on this topic. A lot of people have spoken about the xenophobic attack against Africans in South Africa. There has been many discourse, but I want to point out that this is not a new situation. In fact, The Economist did an article in 2022, and in researching this topic, I came across the article The Economist wrote, where it spoke about South Africa has taken a dangerously xenophobic turn. And it follows the story of xenophobia from 1990 to 2022 at the time this article was written. And what is unfortunate is that today in 2026, May 5th, as I am recording this video, nothing has changed. In fact, it has become worse. So the article specifically talks about how, unfortunately, we have South politicians in South Africa has used anti-immigration sentiments to sow discord amongst Africans in South Africa. Now, as you know, South Africa, as with a lot of countries, not just in Africa, but around the world, struggles with corruption, mismanagement of funds, things you will find in any government. But what we have are political entrepreneurs, as the Economist article puts it, where because to kind of shoot against people looking at them, they point the fingers at immigrants and they blame immigrants for all their woes. I really just want to talk about anti-immigration sentiment for a second. I'm not saying that illegal immigration is not a problem, but I want to tell you how politicians who want to hold on to power, who want to grasp onto power, use anti-immigration tropes and misinformation to sow discord, so people will not point at them and ask them why certain things are not the way they are in the country. I'll give you an example of the United Kingdom, which I'm very familiar with because I live there. I was having a conversation with just a regular person, a business owner, about what's the economy of the United Kingdom and about how ever since the pandemic, a lot of small businesses in the United Kingdom, so we're talking independent pubs, independent businesses, has had to close because you're no longer receiving certain support from the government. We're talking about in the United Kingdom right now, people are struggling to eat, to keep electricity on, not because of immigration, because the cost of living in the UK at this moment, especially if you live in London, is astronomical. It is crazy. But you know what is still the same? The tax levels. So in the UK, the tax codes, they're still the same. So you're still paying taxes on your wages the same rates as you would have before the whole cost of living crisis happened. Now, you're buying goods and services for more. Your income remains the same. You're being taxed the same. One would think, why does the government not maybe increase the tax threshold? So right now, the tax threshold in the United Kingdom is 50,000, and you get like maybe tax 20% on 50,000. But obviously, I'm sure an economics person knows better the calculations. Maybe why is there not tax reform policies? Maybe instead of being taxed that way, you get tax benefits so you'll be able to afford electricity. So basically, if you earn over 50,000, I think you start paying for over 45% in taxes. So can you imagine that? Why is the tax threshold not raised so that people will be able to afford to live in London and afford to live in the United Kingdom? One would think that to solve the economic crisis, we will start doing actual reforms. But no, that is not what the UK government is focused on. The UK government is focused on blaming immigrants for the reason why you cannot put electricity on. They love to play these games. We see the Reform Party doing that. All their policies are surrounded, or the loudest of their policies, or the one that gets people charged, is immigration. Why is that? I wonder. I would tell you, any politician that wants to stay in power preys on people. They want to point fingers on people so that you would not ask them the real questions like, why are small businesses shutting down? Why is it that I cannot afford electricity? Why are my groceries going higher? But the easier way to get people all riled up is to blame immigrants that are not they have very little to do with the reason why you're there, why you're in this predicament you're in. But they blame immigrants and say all the problem of the country is because immigrants are in their countries. Now, some of them in some countries that we know, they try to mask it as illegal immigrants. But look at the actual policies that they're enacting. Are they attacking illegal immigrants? In fact, I read an article, and I have to find that article and put it in the chat, in the description box below, along with the economic act article, if you guys want to read it. It spoke about how for example, in the USA, for all the ICE crackdown, illegal immigration is still the same because people are still coming in the illegal ways that they are. What is actually being affected are legal immigrants who are coming here in the right way. So you can see that the problem is not illegal immigration or immigration, is the fact that what can rile people up to vote, right, is if we pit people against each other and say, oh, your problem is not the fact that your politicians are not doing their job. No, it's that immigrant that's earning $2 an hour, picking oranges in the sun in Florida. That is your problem. That is your real problem. Not the fact that, oh, there are funds going not to the right things. It's all a distraction. And anybody who is, you're so blinded by politics or politicians or one side against the other that you're not able to see that it is actually a problem. These politicians are not doing their jobs. So they want to point the finger. So that is my first thing about this anti-immigration sentiments that have been going on. But how does it fit into South Africa? Well, South Africans have been upset about immigration. In fact, I want to share a video or a few videos on the things that have been going on in South Africa. But basically, I guess let's from let's see let's see what this person has to say, because a lot has been going on. So,
what's wrong? Don't be scared.
So just to give you a few backgrounds, so this video was posted on social media by a witness, and there were anti-immigration protesters. They stormed into a school where children were learning, and they sent those kids, so children of immigrant children of other African countries, were learning in an attempt to protest some form of education, public school education that you're not satisfied with. So they thought, oh, instead of going to the Board of Education, their headquarters, to go protest, no, we're going to terrorize children. And before we even go any further, I want to say something. If you don't want immigrants in your country, that's your prerogative. I am not a sore loser. I'm not, if one side, that's why it's a democracy. If one side wants something and they have the most votes, then the politician has the right to carry out their mandates. I have no problem with that. But the moment we start degrading and dehumanizing people, these countries are not the only countries that has illegal immigrants. But why don't we hear from other countries where their immigration policies are inhumane? It's okay to, if you want to deport illegal immigrants, deport them in a humane way. When we start to hear about people terrorizing children, when we start to hear about children being locked up in harmful, inhumane conditions, children, might I add, you lose me. Now there's no more justification. You lose me the moment we start to dehumanize people generally. And if you want to deport them, just do it in a humane way. Okay, you overstayed your visa. You overstayed the terms of your visa. We no longer want you in the country. These countries that are allowed about anti-immigration, they're not the only countries where people, break the laws. But you don't hear about other countries dehumanizing these people to the points that people are dying and it's now international news. Where are your humane immigration officers that are trained in de-escalation, that are trained to do their jobs? Why are you not letting them do their jobs? And if you're protesting that the way they're doing their job is not correct, why don't you go protest to them? What do you think gives you the right to stop somebody, to harass somebody, to beat up the person, to engage in vigilante justice? That is dangerous. We have seen where vigilante justice gets us. It gets us to very bad places. I know I'm rambling on, but I want to really lay the groundwork before we get into this video. This video is going to be insanely long. I don't know. Let's just see how it goes.
The police are here. Don't be scared. Why are you crying? You can see police are here. Yeah. I'm with them.
So you can see in the video, I guess they called the police to protect him, and a child is visibly upset. A child is visibly upset. These are children now. The child is visibly upset about what's going on. They don't understand policy. So why are you at their school? And interestingly, it's only Black children. It's only other Black children. Now, I want to also show this particular video before we go into talking about it some more. I want to show this video. So this is a Ghanaian man who was confronted by, again, anti-immigrant people, and they were talking about, show me your papers, which is insane. Like, you're not an immigration officer. What gives you the right to go to your fellow African, whether you suspect that person of whatever? Can you imagine being on holiday and you're walking and somebody just comes to you and says, show me your papers? I mean, if I have to explain to you why this is bonkers, and then I just don't know what to say at this point. But let's watch.
It's no longer working. We don't want this as African people anymore. We are tired of seeing African migrants moving all over the world, refusing to fix your own countries. Now we're making it very clear to you guys, Utitina, we don't want you here. We want you to fix your countries. Now you came here with a traveling document. You came with a passport. You know that you are a visitor, but now you decided to come and integrate in our communities. You know very well that what you have done is wrong.
How many children do you have here?
We can come to Ghana and do what you're doing.
Passport.
Now you are carrying a bucket. It's 11 a.m. You are supposed to be fighting the government of Ghana there to ensure that they are getting things right.
No, there's no fight in Ghana. You must fight once a day.
Where's your papers?
Passport.
Passport.
Where's the passport?
Take it out.
Let me see your passport. Let me see. Luna. Okay, tell me, who's the police officer that you are bribing to certify these things for you? Baba, let me tell you, I'm not foolish. These things, let me tell you, ne? You know, by law, you're not supposed to certify as an immigrant. You're not allowed to certify your passport.
No.
Okay, why do you certify your passport in a foreign land? Okay. Let's just start there. Why do you certify your passport in a forein land?
You see, it was raining.
You guys talk on Facebook, can you?
It was raining these days. And when you go out with the passport, sometimes it gets spoiled. That's why I satisfy it so that it won't spoil.
Baba, Ghana don't do that.
Okay.
Ghana don't do that.
All right, sharp.
Ghana
Let me
is the
show
only
you.
African country that is.
Let me show you that when you are abusing our systems, ne? On the 10th of April, again, the 10th of April, you entered your country when? The very same day you came back. When? Yeah, it's a proof. Yeah. Proof. Yeah, the proof.
That crocodile can't go.
You went to Ghana on the 10th, and then you came back.
No,
because here it says you exited Ghana to South Africa. When? Here it says you entered, here you exited. And it's the same date. It's the 10th of April, 10th of April.
This stamp you got.
Okay. So basically, that is what they're doing. So if you are there, and I know people be like, oh, but he's doing something wrong, and he's in the country as a visitor, but he certified his passport. So I guess in my research, what it means is that he was saying that when you come into a country, you're not supposed to certify. I don't know what the heck that means. The point still remains: where are your immigration officers? Even if you are fighting against immigrants, like abusing your systems and whatever, don't you guys have immigration officers? I have led many a protest, many a movement. Isn't the wise thing to do to go to the immigration officers and say there are a lot of people abusing our processes, and we need to put guardrails in place so people do not do that anymore? You take it upon yourself. So guys, I want you to imagine wherever you are, if you're a visitor in a country, because what if they stopped that man and that man was just a regular visitor, and imagine, I visit a lot of countries for my work, so I cannot even imagine walking down the street of an African country or a country wherever I am, and random people who are not police officers, who are not officials in the country, are telling me, bring out your passport, and I am surrounded. Now, that is a whole different board game. And we have places like Al Jazeera reporting that some people are also being assaulted, like they're being beat. And somebody also said something, would they do this to a white person? Because trust me, y'all think that it's only what black and brown people who are breaking laws in whatever country they're in. That is not true. That is not true. There are white people who also they stay in countries. I mean, look at Thailand. Look at what's going on in Thailand. Just research what's going on in Thailand. A lot of wealthy and regular people go to Thailand who are mostly whites, and they overstay their visa to the extent that Thailand just actually put in some new laws. So can you imagine, as a white person, you're in Thailand or wherever, and they surround you and say, "Give me your passport," and they start beating you up or start harassing you, asking you to explain yourself to people like, who the heck are you? You're not an official. This is not your job to go around. You're not trained for this. But you feel like you can do it because you feel like you're better than your other Africans. Because I bet you, if this person was a white person, you would not stop a white visitor on the streets and say, how long are you supposed to be here? I need to make sure you leave. You would not do that. But you're doing that to your fellow Africans because you feel like you're better than your fellow Africans. And I'm getting very sick and tired of people saying, "Oh, it's anti-immigration. We're fighting for anti-immigration." That is not true. Again, this has been going on since 1990. Let's go back a little bit. I think it was last year or 2 years ago. There was this Nigerian beauty queen. I think she was Nigerian, South African. Give me a second. Let me go check the facts. There was a girl called Chidima Adesina. She was born in South Africa to Nigerian parents. So she was born in South Africa to Nigerian parents, and she started to win Miss South Africa 2024, but withdrew in August 2024 following intense xenophobic backlash against her. Now, you may not have remembered what was going on, but I remember, and I paid attention. The disgusting xenophobic things that were being said about her and Nigerians makes my skin crawl. Now, if this was only about immigration, there's a way you would speak. There are things you would not say. If you're investigating her mother's, like, let's make sure she's eligible. You're not the only ones that have had to make sure people are eligible for something. They have not gone so low to you in disgusting xenophobic attacks against your fellow African, who was there legally, by the way. The things that they have said, you can research it on your own. I'm not going to repeat it on my platform. They were so disgusting. And that was 2024. South Africa has a problem. And I'm not going to say all South Africans, because I know there are also amazing South Africans that have been out there saying we're going to give immigrants human rights. We're going to treat people with dignity. We're not. Do you know how dangerous it is to be a vigilante, to start taking matters into your own hands and attacking other people? We've seen it among the Hutus and Tutsis in Rwanda. We've seen what happens when people take matters into their own hands and say, this person is an enemy, let's go attack this person. We see that even as an international lawyer, we've studied the case. We see how these rhetoric against your fellow Africans, calling them disgusting names, dehumanizing them, can lead to grave human rights abuses. What don't you guys understand about this? There is no justification. If you guys want to go out and protest, I have led many protests. You go to the government. You do not attack people on the streets. You do not storm children's schools. You don't do that. But you're doing that now. I wonder why. And then you want to sit down and say, oh, it's not xenophobia. It is xenophobia, and it is flamed. The flame is being fanned by your politicians who don't want you to look at them like, hold on a second. This is corruption. They don't want you to look at them. So they're fanning the flames that the problem here is other African migrants, or maybe South Africans just think they're better than every other African. But your country is not the only developed country in South Africa. Yes, we do have to grow and develop our country. And again, I'm not saying that you should, if you don't want to open your doors to any other Africans to come into your country. Listen, that is your prerogative, but under no circumstance will it justify attacking people on the streets, attacking children. We even hear that other African shops are being attacked. These are Africans who are there legally. I'm an African, so sometimes you travel around Africa, particularly for my human rights work. So are you trying to tell me if I'm walking down the street, somebody's going to come to me and say, let me see your papers, who is not a government official, and I'm supposed to hand it to random people? Are you guys... Okay, let me calm down. There is no justification for putting your hands on nobody. There is no justification of putting your hands, going to children's school, terrorizing children. There's absolutely no justification for that. This is clearly rooted in anti-Blackness. This is clearly rooted in hate for other Africans. Not by all South Africans, but it's systematic at this point. And you would never do it to a white person. You would never do it to white immigrants. So why are you doing it to your fellow Africans? There should be a way for you guys to do it in a way that has dignity for everybody, dignity for your country, dignity for other Africans, because you have to understand, with everything going on in the world, people are looking to Africa. Africans in the diaspora, Black people across the world, they're looking to Africa for some form of, if you win, we win, for dignity. If we're doing this to ourselves and we cannot come together and say, okay, this is a problem, how do we solve it? Okay, immigration is a problem. Let us set policies in place for it not to be abused. We have to resort to this. What message are we sending across the world? If your own Kenyan embassy just released a statement saying Africans in Kenya should be careful, they should stay indoors, and this is in our own African nation. We're talking about African unity. We're supposed to be moving forward to African unity like the East Africans are doing, where we're looking at how can we create one nation, every country's developed. How can we create a system like the European Union for our country? That's what we're supposed to be forward looking. How can we develop our country, knowing if one country is successful, all countries are going to be successful? How can we stop all the insane amount of conflicts that are happening in Africa? How can we be united? How can we develop economically? We're supposed to be forward looking. And if South Africa wants to be the leader of, quote unquote, leader of Africans, that's what you're supposed to be looking at. You're supposed to be helping us move and, develop and be something that we are not yet. But instead, you're allowing this to happen, and you're justifying this. There is no justification for assault on somebody. There's no justification on going to children's schools and terrorizing children. There's absolutely no justification for that. Uganda as well. They just deported, I think, 113 immigrants. I was reading today on the news. That's not the problem. You can do whatever you want with your immigration policy, but why can't it be in respect of human rights, in a way that promotes dignity of people, in a way where people are not assaulted and hurt, where they're not thrown in prisons, sexually assaulted in prisons, dying in detention centers? Why is that so difficult for you guys to grasp? Because think about, I'm sure you travel. If you're watching me, hopefully you travel. Imagine if Montenegro, the last time I was in Montenegro, somebody there was complaining to me about Europeans going to Montenegro during the summer and really messing it up. But they're going the proper route through their government. Imagine if summer is coming up, you're going to Montenegro, and every Montenegrin stop you and beat you up so you cannot come to your country anymore. Why can't you think, what if this happened to you? Oh, because it is rooted in anti-Blackness and racism. That's why. So you don't think it's going to happen to you because you're probably, I don't know, you think you're better than everybody else. I mean, I don't even know what to say. But for me, you cross the line, absolutely, when you start attacking children and you start assaulting people. So this is Julius Malema. He is a member of a National Assembly in South Africa. I have not listened to the whole speech, but I want to listen to it. Let's see what he has to say.
You don't want Nigerians. You don't want Ghanaians. You close shops. You march. Why are you not coming back to tell us the following day that after that march, we expelled 10 Zimbabweans, and out of those 10 Zimbabweans, we're able to give 10 South Africans jobs? There is no such a report. Why? Because now Kuba ma Zimbabwe, hauna misebetsi, batho bale ba ma Zimbabwe, ba etsa mesebetsi e lona le sa batleng ho e etsa because those are slaves jobs. They don't pay anything. You want proper jobs. You want a job with a pay slip, with an appointment letter, with pension, with medical aid, and you deserve it. But why are we fighting each other? It is the same people who made us fight each other during apartheid, black on black violence. They sponsored it. The same provinces where blacks were killing blacks during apartheid, sponsored by apartheid government, is the same provinces where blacks are beating blacks today. The script is the same. The right of the script is the same. Why do you ask me? Unkupa orna, koncha ngwana, koskolong kar is not South African. Ke munche koskolong, ke fete ke shebe waka, ke be proud father. After removing a black child from school, when the black children were removed from school with bullets in 1976, when our parents were removed from school because they did not have school fees, I must play that role. Me, I will never do it. I'm not going to take a pregnant woman out of a clinic because she's not South African. She gives birth of an African child at the gate, and that child dies. And you want me to do that and be proud and look at my children and say, I'm a proud father after I stopped life, after I killed someone? I will not do that. I did not join politics to be voted for. I was too young when I joined politics. These positions that I have came as a result of my participation. I am not in politics to be elected. I'm in politics to articulate a position of African people who have been oppressed for too long. We are not saying any Zimbabwean, Nigerian, Ghanaian must bring crime here. The same way no South African must bring crime here. Anyone who brings drugs, South African or Nigerian, must be dealt with according to the laws of South Africa. Not mob justice.
That's exactly the point. Like, literally, where are your officials? If your officials are not cracking down, it seems to me your problem should be with them. But for you to go and do vigilante justice, what the actual heck? This is actually funny. Like, people think this is okay. You go do vigilante justice, you're not trained. These are dangerous people according to you. And you think the way is to do vigilante justice. You don't have all the facts. You don't have all the facts. Like, what the heck are you doing? This is, I mean, my goodness. Just
Lena le west, ba northwest. Le tshwana le rena ko Limpopo. Ha ba qeta ka ma Zimbabwe, you must know we are next. Because bo butisha re ntwe ke eng ka seZulu ye. Just talk about hack. So you must stop it before it comes to you. Remember, Raba Limpopo were even too dark. They are just going to look at us and say, well, now we don't even have to ask you anything. I coupe. Before it comes to us, let's stop it there and say, let's deal with illegal immigration through the laws of this country. The Minister of Home Affairs is a DA minister, but they never march to the Minister of Home Affairs.
Oh my gosh. This man is saying everything I was saying. And I wish I had watched his video before, like literally everything. Why not go again? You're talking to somebody who's a human rights advocate, a career human rights advocate. I have led marches. We do not march to random people's schools and houses. That's not a thing. You march to the official you want to change. Why don't you march to his office? Don't you think if you want to change the law, you march to the person whose law you want, the person who has the power to change your law? Do children make policies in South Africa? Comment down below, because maybe I'm not South African, maybe I don't know, child. Do children make policies in South Africa? Do their parents make policies in South Africa? Can they help you out with your children's school? Because it's showing me something is not connecting for y'all. Why can't you march to the homeland person? Why can't you? Don't you all have his address? Should I help you Google it and put in the box below so you can go march to him? Why are you going to terrorize people in their schools? Like, I don't understand. This is actually freaking insane. This is actually so insane. I can't.
Who is responsible for illegal immigrants? Why? They are scared of white people. Look at them. When they speak to a white person, they are very respectful. They show manners. When they speak to a black person, they are violent. When is that march going to Cape Town? Because a lot of illegal immigrants, white immigrants, are in Cape Town. Let's see them going to Cape Town and asking.
Well. There you go. There you have it. I want to watch it all. I don't want this video to be too long. I feel like it's already been too long and I've been ranting most of it. So please, this is annoying, especially when I watched again the video of the children. I can't even stand it. I can't stand it. Like, it's so disgustingly bad.
Whites to produce their IDs. The same way here in Northwest, a lot of whites say they own land. If you ask them to produce a title deed, they don't have. They gave each other the land early 90s when they saw that democracy was coming. So many white people are here in South Africa, illegal labor. They must be treated the same way we treat others. But now they are even worse. They've got our land. How na lefatshe na re lwela economic freedom o shapa le Zimbabwe le a tsamaya, you remain landless. How na le Zimbabwe le nang le lefatshe.
But you see how the problem is systematic. While you're fighting, okay, I think I'm going to stop here because I don't want the video to be too long. While you're fighting each other, because like you heard your own officials say, there are white illegal immigrants in South Africa, which is even worse. They have land. So you're terrorizing shops of people who make less than anything to even keep themselves afloat. While on the other side, there are people who literally own land and are swimming in money. So you see that your priorities are not very straight. Rule of law. Where's the rule of law? How about you go to the person who makes the laws and say, we don't want illegal immigrants, period. Why are you saying African? Why are you saying we don't want illegal African immigrants? So are you okay with the whites illegal immigrants? Is that what it is? I need somebody to explain it to me. And if you say, I don't want illegal immigrants in this country anymore, go to your lawmaker and ask him, make a law that will apply to everybody, black and white. So you're not putting yourself in danger by running up to random people on the streets, asking them to produce their papers. Are you following me? I hope that in this video, y'all, I feel like this video has worked me up. This issue has worked me up so much because I need y'all to understand how crazy this is. This is just another plot, scheme, and ploy for Africans to be looted, for us to be embarrassed, and for us to be disunited. And I pray that we all wake up and realize fighting each other is not going to save us. We need to literally fight the cause. We fight for the cause for a united Africa, the cause for an Africa where there's equality, there's proper administration of justice. There is the rule of law. I hope that, we'll see that in my lifetime. But anyway, if you have stayed for 40 minutes, thank you. And by the way, don't comment if you did not watch the whole thing, because some of you just be wilding in the comments. But thank you all so much. There is no justification for rolling up to children's schools. So don't try to justify nothing in my comment section. In fact, because this has to do with children, I want to be very respectful, because you guys just be writing anything in the comment section. I'm going to have to approve every single comment before it comes on the comment section, because protection of children should be the number one priority for everybody. I don't care what side of the aisle, what cause you're fighting for. This is unacceptable. So thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing y'all in the next video. Bye.